The weaker than expected jobs report took nearly everyone by surprise, including our next guest. Brian Wesbury is a Bloomberg best on employment, though. He is chief economist from First Trust. He is joining us now from Wheaton, Illinois. And of course, Dom and Sara right beside me here in the newsroom as well. Brian, we're glad to have you with us. So does this number confirm that the May number was not a fluke?
Yes, it does, Deirdre. And, thanks for the Bloomberg best. I guess the only saving grace is that everybody missed this one. And I think as we look at it, every once in a while you get a month that's just disappointing. It happens in almost every statistic. It happens even when the economy is booming.
Brian.
It is, but we have to remember that employment is a lagging indicator. So it's almost the last thing to turn on the way down and the last thing to turn on the way up. And just about every piece of data has gotten better in the last 4 to 6 weeks. We've had initial claims come down. Manufacturing surveys have gotten better. Chain store sales, which we got yesterday, were very strong. Retailers have done great in here. So I would argue that this was the last piece of data that's going to be weak during this soft patch that we've just been through.
Brian, it's Dominic here. One of the things that we have a concern about, though, is the employment numbers that we have seen. Yeah, maybe there are some good signs here, but we had the 13th straight week of initial jobless claims above 400,000.
Sure.
We're also seeing the average duration of unemployment over like 9 months right now. It's at a historic high. So if there is any evidence, I mean, you're talking about the positives. Where exactly are these positives that you're talking about?
Yeah, I mean, the positives, Dom, it's kind of interesting. We've grown for 8 straight quarters. The stock market is up over 100%. Corporate profits are at record highs. Retail sales are at record highs. Consumer spending is at a record high. Now, the economy is not as robust as we would hope. It's not as strong today and in the last couple of years as we saw back in the 80s and 90s. If you want to know why I think that's true, it's because government is so big. We've literally exploded the size of government. The bigger government is, the smaller the private sector is. It's just math. It's simple math. The more the government spends, the less there is for everything else. And what I think happens then is that you sort of get a compromised patient. An older person is more susceptible to the flu, let's say. And so when we had the tsunami and the tornadoes, we're in a weakened state because the government has become such a burden on the economy. And that's why we're seeing this soft patch. Now, that doesn't mean we can't grow. I think we will continue to grow. I don't think every piece of data will be booming, but I do believe that the soft patch we saw that started in March is now winding down. We're seeing retail sales and manufacturing pick back up, and I think this employment report is sort of the last really weak report that we're going to see.
Well, it was really weak, Brian. We've maxed out on easy fiscal policy, maxed out on loose monetary policy. Do we just have to sit back and wait for the jobs to come back?
Yeah, and sometimes that's what we have to do. Remember this June number, QE2 was still going. It didn't end until the end of June. By the way, I think cutting government spending and ending quantitative easing will be good for the economy. I don't think it will be bad. That's a whole nother set of arguments. But yeah, Deirdre, we just have to wait. The entrepreneurial fire, if you will, that's what creates jobs over time. You have to wait for that to get going. It is going today. We're seeing the cloud, we're seeing smartphones, smart tablets, all that new technology.
Brian,
I think that will create strength over time.
That's great. But here, is there going to be a QE3? Let's put it out there right now. Is there a QE3 coming?
Yeah,
Buffett says no.
I sure hope. I sure hope not. I don't think QE1 and QE2 are the reason the economy grew over the past 2 years. I think we've had too much interference in our banking system. I think we have to back away and let the banking system and the private sector grow this economy and stop doing it from the government. If we would do that, then we would get the kind of growth that we hope for.
Okay, Brian, we'll leave it there. We thank you so much. Our best to Bloomberg best, that is Brian Wesbury.